Thank you, Presiding Officer. I welcome the opportunity to speak in this debate and congratulate my friend and colleague Colette Stevenson on securing it. Colette has outlined this issue really well, and I'm pleased to follow on from her at the beginning of LGBT plus History Month. I too want to start by condemning domestic abuse in all its forms, whether that be sexual assault, coercive control, psychological abuse, or any other form of controlling behaviour. Presiding Officer, the University of Glasgow has carried out a great deal of work on LGBT domestic abuse, and the findings of the report do make for some concerning reading. The research shows that LGBT plus people face the fear of being stigmatised and disbelieved by the police. Support services being designed for heterosexual people is also an issue, and a systemic lack of LGBT plus domestic abuse knowledge and inclusion across most services in Scotland. For the few inclusive services, the report recorded prolonged waiting lists and an inadequate safe accommodation for LGBT plus people, a problem which the report's author, Dr Stephen Maxwell, has warned will only be worsened by impending local authority cuts. Dr Maxwell said, and I quote, "Domestic abuse experiences of LGBTQ plus victims and survivors are overlooked and unheard. 1 in 3 LGBTQ plus adults will experience domestic abuse in their lifetime, the same level as heterosexual women. And we know that this abuse does indeed have a profound impact on a person's life, so it's absolutely crucial that the Scottish Government does all it can to get the services right for our LGBT plus community. We must deliver parity of esteem for domestic abuse services for all victims of domestic abuse of any and all sexual orientations. Presiding Officer, there is a clear way forward to improve the current situation. According to Dr Maxwell, there are a number of steps that could reduce the high-risk situations that LGBT plus victims experience. The starting point is for the Scottish Government to review the national policy Equally Safe, which Colette Stevenson has mentioned. The national policy Equally Safe is where LGBT plus and domestic abuse experiences could be included, and that's another quote from the University of Glasgow. They say that the LGBT people's experiences are invisible in Equally Safe strategy. The report is calling for a tailored national action plan to provide visible, competent measures to meet people's needs. This includes stronger prevention, service inclusion messages, more inclusive safe spaces and practitioner workforce education, including through, for example, TURAS e-learning modules for health and social care staff. Previously, as a clinical nurse educator, I developed and delivered e-learning courses, and it seems pretty achievable to me that this is something that we could pursue. So I would ask the Minister if this could be considered. Presiding Officer, as Colette Stevenson's motion shows, the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service statistical publications show that 30,139 charges were reported to the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service with domestic abuse identifier in 2022-2023. In these cases, the accused was male in 86% of reports, but that means that 4,219 women were the perpetrators of domestic abuse. We do need to ensure that policies such as Equally Safe are working to support anyone who has experienced domestic abuse, and it is not all just a women-only problem. One excellent example of work being undertaken to support the LGBT plus people who had experienced domestic abuse is the charity Gallop. Gallop specialise in supporting victims and survivors of domestic abuse, sexual violence, hate crime, honour-based abuse, forced marriage, conversion therapies and other types of interpersonal abuse. Gallop is run by the LGBT plus people for LGBT plus people, and this needs the community. The community are basically at the heart of everything that Gallop does. It is a fantastic organisation, and I would like to hear from the Minister whether the Scottish Government could engage with this organisation. I am just closing. Enabling our LGBT plus community to be supported in cases of domestic abuse and violence is crucial, and I welcome this debate. Thank you, Presiding Officer.